Let me tell you something. One of the greatest secrets to living a life of peace, a life where anger and frustration no longer have power over you, is learning the art of emotional detachment. Because here's the truth. Most people go through life reacting. Someone cuts them off in traffic and their whole day is ruined. A coworker makes a sarcastic remark and suddenly they're stewing in resentment. A friend forgets to call back and they take it as a personal insult. But the moment you realize that you don't have to respond with emotion to every little thing that happens around you, that's the moment you take back control. Think about it. What does it really mean when someone insults you, disrespects you, or treats you unfairly? Most of the time, it has nothing to do with you. People act out of their own frustrations, their own insecurities, their own weaknesses. But if you allow yourself to absorb that negativity, if you let it dictate how you feel, you've handed them control over your emotions. And why would you do that? Why would you let someone else decide whether you're going to have a good day or a bad one? The problem is, we've been trained to react. Since childhood, we've been conditioned to take everything personally. Someone raises their voice and we immediately feel the need to defend ourselves. Someone disagrees with us and we feel offended. But emotional detachment is about breaking free from that cycle. It's about understanding that just because someone says something doesn't make it true. Just because someone does something doesn't mean it has to affect you. Imagine someone walks up to you and says the sky is green. Would you get angry? Would you feel the need to argue? No, you just shrug it off because you know it's not true. So why is it any different when someone calls you a name? Why is it different when someone questions your abilities, your worth, your character? If you know who you are, if you know the truth, then what they say shouldn't matter. It's just noise. And noise only bothers you if you decide to listen to it. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, but what if someone truly wrongs me? What if someone lies about me, cheats me, disrespects me in a way that genuinely affects my life? Listen, I'm not saying you should ignore injustice. I'm not saying you should let people walk all over you. But even in those situations, you have a choice. You can react with anger or you can respond with wisdom. You can let it consume you or you can rise above it. Detachment doesn't mean apathy, it means strength. It means refusing to let negative people turn you into one of them. When you stop taking everything personally, you'll be amazed at how much lighter you feel. Suddenly, that rude cashier at the grocery store doesn't bother you. That coworker's attitude doesn't ruin your mood. That driver cutting you off doesn't send your blood pressure soaring. Because you understand something most people don't. Their behavior is a reflection of them, not of you. And here's the beautiful part. When you master emotional detachment, you don't just stop getting angry. You also stop getting hurt. You stop feeling offended. You stop wasting energy on things that don't matter. Instead of carrying resentment, you carry peace. Instead of holding grudges, you hold freedom. You wake up every morning knowing that no matter what happens, no matter who says what, no matter how the world tries to shake you, you are unshaken. The people who live with the most joy, the most confidence, the most peace, they're not the ones who never face challenges. They are the ones who don't let those challenges control them. They don't let the opinions of others dictate their self-worth. They don't let circumstances dictate their happiness. They walk through life with a calm, steady presence because they understand the power of emotional detachment. So the next time someone tries to get under your skin, the next time life throws an obstacle in your way, remind yourself, this is just a test. This is just an opportunity for me to stay in control. And when you do that, when you refuse to be shaken, you'll find that nothing, no person, no situation, no problem has the power to steal your peace. Most people go through life believing that others are the problem. They think, if only this person would act differently, if only they would treat me better, if only they would understand me, then I wouldn't feel this way. But what if the problem isn't them? What if the real issue is how you see them? You see, the way you perceive people determines how they affect you. If you look at someone as an enemy, their words will feel like an attack. If you see someone as an obstacle, their actions will frustrate you. But if you shift your perspective, if you start seeing difficult people as teachers instead of threats, You will never be bothered by anyone again. Think about it. Every frustrating person in your life is giving you a lesson. That rude coworker, they're teaching you patience. That family member who never listens, they're giving you an opportunity to practice understanding. That person who insults you, disrespects you, tries to bring you down, they're testing your ability to stay calm, to stay in control, to rise above it. And if you pass the test, you win, because the moment you refuse to let them shake you, you become untouchable. Most people spend their energy trying to change others. They argue, they complain, they fight to make people different. But let me ask you something. How often does that actually work? How many times have you tried to change someone and seen real, lasting success? Probably never. That's because you can't control how others behave. You can't force them to think the way you think, speak the way you speak, or act the way you want them to act. But what you can control is how you choose to see them. There was a time when a man insulted a wise teacher. He yelled, he cursed. He tried everything he could to provoke a reaction, but the teacher remained calm. Finally, the man asked, "Why aren't you angry?" The teacher simply smiled and said, "If someone offers you a gift and you do not accept it, who does it still belong to?" That's perspective. That's understanding that just because someone is trying to hurt you doesn't mean you have to let them. Just because someone is being negative doesn't mean you have to absorb their negativity. Instead of taking things personally, you recognize that people act based on their own struggles, their own fears, their own pain, and when you realize that, you stop reacting emotionally and start responding wisely. Now, this doesn't mean you tolerate toxic behavior. It doesn't mean you let people mistreat you. What it does mean is that you stop letting their behavior dictate your emotions. You stop giving them power over your peace. When you understand that every difficult person is just a test, a lesson, an opportunity to grow, then suddenly they don't frustrate you anymore. They don't make you angry. They don't have control over you. Think about how much unnecessary stress comes from resisting what already is. You get angry because someone is acting a certain way, but they've always been that way. You get frustrated because someone let you down, but they've been doing that for years. You keep expecting people to be different, and every time they prove you wrong, you get upset. But why? Why expect someone who has always been unreliable to suddenly be dependable? Why expect someone who has always been negative to suddenly be encouraging? When you shift your perspective and accept people as they are, you free yourself from disappointment. This isn't about giving up on people. It's about letting go of unrealistic expectations. It's about understanding that some people will never change, and that's okay. They don't have to change for you to have peace. You just have to change the way you see them. You have to stop expecting them to be who they are not and start seeing them as part of your growth. Every person in your life, whether they lift you up or try to tear you down, is shaping you. They are revealing to you where you still need patience, where you still need strength, where you still need wisdom. And once you see people through that lens, you'll never be angry again, because instead of seeing them as problems, you'll see them as gifts. Most people spend their lives trying to control things they were never meant to control. They try to control what others say about them. They try to control how people treat them. They try to control the way the world moves around them. And when things don't go their way, when people disappoint them, when they feel disrespected, when life throws something unfair in their path, they get angry, they get frustrated, they feel overwhelmed. But the truth is, no matter how hard you try, you will never be able to control other people. You'll never be able to make someone act the way you want them to act, speak the way you want them to speak, or live the way you want them to live. What you can control, however, is how you respond. That's the difference between a person who is constantly frustrated and a person who is always at peace. The first one believes that their happiness depends on the actions of others. The second one understands that their happiness depends only on their own mindset. And once you grasp that truth, once you stop trying to control the world and start mastering your own reactions, you will never be angry or bothered by anyone again. Imagine someone insults you. Now, most people would react automatically. They'd feel offended, maybe fire back with an insult of their own, maybe spend the rest of the day replaying that moment in their head. But what if instead of reacting, you simply let it pass? What if instead of giving them the power to ruin your mood, you decided to remain unmoved? Because here's the reality. Their words only have power if you give them power. Their negativity only affects you if you allow it to. It's the same with life's challenges. Some people crumble at the first sign of trouble. The moment something doesn't go their way, they lose their peace. They panic, they lash out, they let their emotions take control. But the strongest people, the most unshakable people, don't let circumstances dictate their inner state. They understand that just because life is unpredictable doesn't mean they have to be. They don't react to the storm, they remain calm in the middle of it. Think of the ocean. On the surface, the waves crash, the winds howl, the storms rage, but deep beneath all of that, the water is still, untouched by what happens above. That's how your mind should be. No matter what happens around you, no matter who tries to provoke you, no matter what unfair thing life throws at you, deep down, you remain steady. You remain in control. But that takes practice. It takes discipline. It takes training yourself every single day to pause before reacting, to choose wisdom over emotion, to remind yourself that your peace is worth more than a moment of anger. And sometimes that means walking away from the argument instead of engaging in it. Sometimes that means choosing silence instead of proving your point. Sometimes that means deciding that not everything deserves your energy. There is incredible power in being unbothered. When people realize that they can't control you, that they can't get a reaction out of you, they lose their hold over you. When life sees that no matter what it throws your way, you remain steady, you become unstoppable, because the truth is, no situation, no person, no challenge can ever take away your peace unless you hand it over. And the moment you decide to stop letting outside forces dictate your emotions, you will walk through life with a strength that nothing and no one can shake. Most people go through life at the mercy of their emotions. One bad conversation ruins their whole day. One disappointment steals their joy. One negative comment makes them question their worth. They wake up feeling fine, but the moment something goes wrong, someone is rude, something unexpected happens, a plan falls apart, their mood shifts, and suddenly they're frustrated, upset, or angry. But let me ask you something. If the smallest things can shake you, if people and circumstances can control your emotions so easily, are you really in control of your own life? See, mental resilience is not about avoiding challenges. It's not about living a life where no one ever upsets you or nothing ever goes wrong. That's impossible. The world is unpredictable. People will disappoint you, and life will throw things at you that you never saw coming. The question is, will you let it break you, or will you become strong enough that no matter what happens, you remain steady? There's a reason some people go through life bitter, resentful, and angry, while others remain calm, steady, and unshaken. It's not because their lives are easier. It's not because they never face hardships. It's because they have trained their minds to rise above negativity instead of drowning in it. They have built the kind of mental strength that allows them to experience difficulty without being defeated by it. Think about a tree. When a storm comes, the trees with shallow roots are the first to fall. The wind comes and they are uprooted, thrown to the ground. But the trees with deep roots, the ones that have grown strong over time, they may bend, they may sway, but they do not fall. That's what mental resilience is. It's the ability to face the storm without being destroyed by it. But most people don't train for this. Most people let their emotions control them instead of learning how to control their emotions. And that's why they are constantly frustrated, constantly stressed, constantly feeling like life is against them. But here's the truth. Life is not against you. The only thing that's working against you is your lack of resilience, your tendency to take everything personally, your habit of letting every little thing dictate how you feel. If you want to be unshakable, you have to stop reacting to every little thing. Not everything deserves your energy. Not every battle is worth fighting. Not every insult requires a response. The strongest people are not the ones who yell the loudest or prove their point in every argument. The strongest people are the ones who know when to walk away. They are the ones who refuse to let small things steal their peace. They are the ones who understand that no one has the power to upset them unless they give them that power. And here's the thing, resilience is built, not given. You don't wake up one day with a strong mind, you train for it. Just like an athlete trains their body, just like a warrior prepares for battle, you must prepare your mind every single day. You do this by practicing self-control, by reminding yourself that your peace is more important than your pride, by refusing to let temporary emotions make permanent decisions. You will be tested. There will be people who try to provoke you. There will be moments that tempt you to react in anger, frustration, or fear. But in those moments, you have a choice. Will you let the situation control you, or will you control yourself? Will you be like the tree with shallow roots, easily knocked over, or will you be like the tree with deep roots, steady, no matter what comes? Because the truth is, nothing in this world has the power to shake you unless you allow it. And the moment you decide that your peace is not up for negotiation, that's the moment you become unstoppable. There is a secret to living a life free from anger, free from frustration, free from being bothered by the actions of others. And that secret is learning how to let go, because most of the time, it's not the situation itself that is causing you pain. It's your attachment to how you think things should be. It's your expectation that people will always treat you fairly. It's your belief that life should always go according to plan. It's your desire for everything to happen on your terms, and when reality doesn't match your expectations, you suffer. But the moment you learn to let go of that need for control, the moment you release your grip on how you think things should be, that's the moment you find peace. Think about how much time is wasted holding on to things that no longer serve you. How many people are still angry about something that happened years ago? How many people walk around carrying bitterness, resentment, frustration over things they can't change? They replay the conversation, they hold on to the grudge, they relive the pain over and over again. But for what? What does it accomplish? Does it make them happier? Does it bring them peace? No, it keeps them trapped. And that's what holding on does. It traps you. It keeps you stuck in a moment that no longer exists. It chains you to the past when life is moving forward. Letting go is not weakness. It's not about ignoring what happened. It's not about pretending that people didn't hurt you or that life has been unfair at times. It's about deciding that your peace is more important than your past. It's about realizing that whatever happened, whatever was said, whatever was done no longer has the power to control your life unless you let it. There was once a traveler walking down a long road, carrying a heavy sack of stones on his back. With each step, the weight slowed him down, made his journey harder than it needed to be. Finally, someone asked him, "Why don't you put the sack down?" And the traveler, exhausted, looked surprised. He had been carrying it for so long, he had forgotten he had the choice to let it go. That's how many people live their lives, carrying burdens that they were never meant to carry. Carrying anger towards someone who has long since moved on, carrying frustration over a mistake that can't be undone, carrying resentment toward life for not turning out the way they planned, but they don't realize that the burden is optional. They don't realize they can set it down at any moment. Because the truth is, no one can take your peace from you. You can only give it away. No one can control your emotions. You are the only one with that power. And when you choose to let go, when you refuse to carry the weight of things you cannot change, you free yourself. You free yourself from the grip of the past, from the control of other people's actions, from the endless cycle of frustration and disappointment. It takes strength to walk away from anger. It takes wisdom to choose peace over pride. It takes courage to release the need to be right, the need to prove a point, the need to hold on to things that only bring pain. But when you do, you become untouchable. When you do, you realize that nothing in this world has power over you unless you allow it. So the next time you feel anger rising, the next time frustration tries to take hold, ask yourself, is this worth my peace? Is this worth my energy? Is this worth carrying one step further? And if the answer is no, then make the choice that will set you free. Let it go. There's a powerful truth that most people never realize. You are responsible for your own peace. Not your circumstances, not the people around you, not the way life unfolds, but you. Because peace isn't something you find when everything in your life is perfect. It's not something that appears when everyone treats you right, when all your problems disappear, when the world finally moves in the direction you want it to go. Peace is something you create, something you protect, something you choose no matter what is happening around you. But most people live as if their peace depends on everything outside of them. They wake up feeling fine, but the moment someone offends them, they lose their peace. The moment something inconvenient happens, they let stress take over. The moment life throws a challenge their way, frustration replaces their joy. They let their emotions rise and fall based on what's happening in the world around them. But what if peace didn't have to be so fragile? What if you could be the kind of person who remains calm no matter what? What if nothing and no one had the power to steal your peace unless you gave them that power? That's the difference between a person who is easily shaken and a person who is unshakable. One is constantly at the mercy of their environment. The other carries peace within them no matter what happens. And the good news is that kind of peace is not something you are born with. It is something you develop. It is something you train yourself to maintain. It is something you build decision by decision, moment by moment, until nothing in this world has the power to take it from you. Imagine walking through life like a rock in the middle of a river. The water rushes around it, the current pushes against it. But the rock does not move. That's the kind of strength you can have when you take full responsibility for your own peace. Because the truth is, people will try to provoke you, life will test you, things will not always go the way you want them to, but none of those things have to affect you unless you let them. The key is learning how to protect your peace like it is the most valuable thing you own. And it is valuable. Think about how much more joyful, how much more focused, how much more fulfilled you would be if nothing could shake your inner calm. Think about how much time is wasted worrying about things that don't matter, replaying conversations that can't be changed, getting angry over things that will be forgotten in a week. When you make the decision to protect your peace, you stop giving your energy to those things. You stop reacting to every little inconvenience. You stop allowing people's opinions to dictate how you feel. It doesn't mean you ignore reality. It doesn't mean you pretend problems don't exist. It simply means that you refuse to let those things control you. It means that even when life is chaotic, you are not. It means that even when people are difficult, you remain steady. It means that even when the world is unpredictable, you are unshaken. And how do you do that? By mastering the way you respond to life. By choosing in every moment to guard your peace like it is the most precious thing you have. By asking yourself before you react, is this worth my energy? Is this worth my joy? Is this worth my peace? And if it's not, you let it go. You move forward. You stay centered. Because the reality is, peace isn't something that comes from the outside. It's something that comes from within. And the moment you take full responsibility for your own peace, nothing and no one will ever have the power to take it from you again.